Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be recapping the Houston Texans free agency day one. This was a really busy day for the Houston Texans of free agency day one as they made 7 signings, and one of those signings was a re-signing. And also, one of the others was a player from the Houston Texans past being brought back. Let's go over all these moves, roster moves that were made by the Houston Texans today. Before I go over the 7 players that have been brought in today by the Texans, I want to go over the players the Texans lost today in day one of free agency and some opportunities the Texans lost out on. So first off, you have guys like Blake Cashman and Jonathan Grenard heading to Minnesota. You have Devin Singletary, running back, who was our running back last year, going to the New York Giants. And then also you have Cameron Johnston, our punter, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was also opportunities that the Texans had the interest of players like Saquon Barkley that went to the Eagles. They were in a bidding war for him. Christian Wilkins went to the Raiders. They were really interested in him. So there are some players that the Texans really had interest in, weren't really able to pull the trigger on, but they still made some good signings. And let's go over the best signing for the Texans today, and that was Azeez Al-Shaair from the Tennessee Titans, who was previously on the San Francisco 49ers. The Texans signed him to a 3-year, $34 million deal. He's coming off his best season in the NFL this past season, with the Titans playing 17 games with 17 starts, 4 passes deflected with 1 fumble recovery with 2 sacks and 163 tackles. He was a part of the defense with the 49ers when Denico Ryans was the defensive coordinator. So he does have a history with Houston Texans head coach Denico Ryans. Now, another addition for the Houston Texans is another guy that is from the Tennessee Titans, and that is Denico Autry. The Texans are signing Denico Autry to a 2-year, $20 million deal, just like Azeez Al-Shaair. Autry had a really good season on the Tennessee Titans defense. 17 games, 14 starts, 4 passes deflected, 2 forced fumbles, 11.5 sacks, 50 tackles, and 12 tackles for loss. And Denico Autry is a defensive end, if I didn't already say that. Also, one of the Texans that is coming back from last year is Noah Brown. Noah Brown had a big season for the Texans. He was only available for 10 games, but in those 10 games, he had 7 starts with 55 targets, 33 receptions for 567 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. He exploded in the 2 games against the Bengals and the Buccaneers, and those were a good chunk of his yards. I mean, he probably had 200 plus yards, maybe almost 300 receiving yards in those 2 games against the Bengals and the Bucs. He was on fire in those 2-game stretch. And then injuries started to become a problem. But if he can stay healthy next year for the Texans as a wide receiver, it'd be great for C.J. Stroud. And then, so also after Noah Brown, you have Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah, if you guys remember, he was that 3rd overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft, and now the Texans are signing Jeff Okudah. This past season, he played 13 games with 9 starts with the Atlanta Falcons, and he had 3 passes deflected with 44 tackles. In the past season, 2022, he had 1 interception for a touchdown with Detroit in 2022. It was his first year away from Detroit. And now the Texans are signing him to a 1-year deal worth $4.5 million. And then Texans signed another player to $4.5 million, and that is Mike Ford. Difference with Mike Ford is being signed to a 2-year deal. Mike Ford last season was with the Cleveland Browns, played 16 games with 1 start, had 1 interception, which he returned for 10 yards. He had 2 passes deflected and 1 fumble recovery with 28 tackles. It's a very solid signing for the Houston Texans. And then another addition for the Houston Texans is replacing Cameron Johnston, the punter, with Tommy Townsend, who will be the current punter. Former punter of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a 1-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time All-Pro and a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler in 2022. This is a great replacement for Cameron Johnston, and honestly one of the best punters in the league. And I'm more happy knowing that we have Tommy Townsend than having Cameron Johnston in the past. I really like Townsend. And then the final signing is someone who was drafted by the Texans, has spent the last 2 seasons away from the team. The Texans are signing Lonnie Johnson. How about that? I mean, Lonnie Johnson Jr. has not been on the team since 2021. Last time we saw Lonnie Johnson, he was with the team in 2021, played 14 games and 7 starts, had 3 interceptions in 2021. That he returned for 47 yards. It's been rough for him this past couple seasons. In New Orleans last year, he had 1 interception with 2 passes deflected and 1 fumble recovery. But that was really it. He only had 9 tackles on the year. I'm actually kind of interested I'm interested to see what position he plays with the Texans, though, because when he was with the Texans in his first 3 seasons, from 2019 to 2021, he was a defensive back. Now the last 2 seasons with Tennessee and New Orleans, he has switched to corner. So I'm excited to see what position we see Lonnie Johnson play now that he's back with the Texans. Let me know your thoughts on day 1 of free agency. Overall, I'm gonna give the Texans a B minus. Upset I'm upset that the Texans didn't bring back Blake Cashman. I thought he was going to be someone that was really important for this Texans defense going into next season. And then also another thing is the running backs. I mean, what are we going to do about the running back position? Because, you're seeing a bunch of running backs go off the board. I mean, I think the Texans have to take a shot at one of Aaron Jones or potentially Derrick Henry. I'd love to see the Texans potentially try to bring in Derrick Henry. That would be great. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on day 1 of free agency for the Houston Texans in the comment section, and peace out.